First things first, can I ask a question? Grab the microphone real quick.
Got it.
We'll open with Harsh and then open it up for questions.
All right. Just kind of recapping the last game. Good win on the road. You know, I think sometimes when you travel that far and you have a game like that, it can be a little bit of a trap at times. And I thought our guys handled it well. I thought UConn played extremely well in that game. I thought our guys played well in that game too. There's obviously some things to go back and look at and that you want to fix, but it comes down to being kind of just a fight. And it was 4 quarters. We talked about winning on the road, which we accomplished, and we talked about fourth quarter and winning the fourth quarter. We were able to do that. And so those are the 2 main things that we hit on with our players throughout the week. Now, everything else in between, you know, that's stuff that we have to go back and work on. It's never perfect. We don't expect it to be. And so excited about this week. We're excited to be home and to have another home game. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to having our crowd like last game out there, excited when we're on the field. I know our players are looking forward to being back here, and we're excited about that. Players of the game. On defense, we had 2, Blake Reno and Dante Dion. On offense, kind of an obvious choice, Matt Miller for his performance. Special teams, Dan Goodell. And I'll say one thing about Dan, you know, in that kick where they decided to take the 5-yard penalty and he comes back and drives it back into the end zone. And our guys, you know, our coverage is pretty good. We get down there and we get down there in a hurry. And they were able to help ourselves out with some yards. O-lineman of the game, Stephen Baggett. D-lineman of the game, Bo Martin. And we had a shout-out to Kamale and Bosin. Both guys had 2 sacks in the game. So those were the players that we chose from this last game. Looking ahead, you know, just at Lafayette, for Boise State, it's not really a common opponent. We were able to play them at Arkansas State last year, so some of us are more familiar with the staff, the players, the coaches, the league that they're in. They're 1-2 right now. Mark Hudspeth is their coach, and this is a very good football team. They're big, they're physical, they look very good, they play very hard, they're coached very hard. You know, this is a team that has come in here and was picked preseason to win their conference. So, and last year, you know, we're a very good team in that conference as well. You know, their offense, they're averaging 200 yards rushing, 200 yards passing a game. You're going to see a little bit of a zone read, pistol, variations of backfield, alignments with the running backs. They do a very good job with play action, and they get some good one-on-one matchups, and their quarterback is either going to hit it right away or he'll scramble and he'll find a way to make a play down the field. He keeps the plays alive. Terrence Broadway is his name. You know, he's the 4th player in school to have 7,000 yards in his career, so a school record for him. I think the other guy, running back, Alonzo Harris, big physical guy. He'll try to run you over. He's about 238 pounds, and he's thick and he's fast. Their defense, you know, they got the 4th fewest penalty yards per game, so they're not getting penalized. They're top 40 in red zone in the country. They're a 3-4 defense that give you a lot of different parts, moving parts. They do a good job with their blitzes, pressures, and giving you different looks up front. And their D-line is very good. They've got a couple guys on there. Ole Miss's D-line was very good. This D-line ranks right up there with them. And they've got some guys that have the size, the speed, like we saw in that first game. They got 6 returners on defense coming back that I thought last year did a really good job when we played them at Arkansas State. Special teams, they're number 1 in the country in kickoff return defense. Their punter, very good leg. They're very aggressive in coverage, and their their kicker. And then their punter, you know, he's averaging 49 yards a punt. So those guys are doing a good job on special teams and changing field position. So this group, you know, watched them. We played a common opponent, played Ole Miss. So you kind of have a little bit of an idea of what you're facing there, but different venue. Ole Miss is at home. Ole Miss is obviously playing good. Their offense played well in this game. And, you know, the one thing we know is from last game we got better. From the second to the third, we got to be better this game. This team can come in here and run the ball. We have to be able to continue to control the run, and we've got to find a way to run the ball better than we did in the last game. we kind of became one-dimensional. Unfortunately, we're good enough throwing the ball to win the game, but we want to be balanced, and we got to get that back. So with that, open up for questions.
You mentioned they were picked to win the Sun Belt, I think. I think the Louisiana Tech score may have surprised some people. What have you seen out of them? I think a lot of people are kind of surprised they're 1-2.
I think Louisiana Tech played well against them. They just, they had Louisiana Tech had a 99-yard run. They were backed up and just popped a power play for 99 yards. So I think there were some things in that game probably uncharacteristic for the defense of Lafayette. And then, La Tech they played well. That's why you play the game. I mean, you don't go out there and presume anything. You got to go out there and work. And La Tech outplayed them in certain areas, and were able to win the game. Ole Miss, obviously they're kind of rolling. Bo Wallace looks like he's playing even better. He's in a little bit of his stride right now. So, but really that has nothing to do, with the league right now. What they're, so in their minds right now, hey, that's over and done with. We have a chance to go play Boise State. I know this game, and I know for their team and staff and all that, this is a big game. Because I know the league, and I know how Boise State's perceived in that league. And so, we need to make sure that we have a better week of practice than we did last week, and we got to come out and play. And we got to play better we got to play more consistent on offense. We had 0 turnovers, which was a goal for the offense, but we still got to be more consistent. And then on defense, if we can get 3 takeaways and score twice, we're going to be in good shape. And ultimately, we're looking for that knockout punch on special teams at some point. We need to get that big return. Sean Whale had his best day punting. His average was good, but we still need to have that change, happen on special teams, that we can really change the game.
This is the one team on the schedule that you obviously played at Arkansas State. You touched on it a little bit, but how helpful is it having a little bit of history, and also does it help the fact that you can study film of them playing the common opponent this year in Ole Miss?
Yeah, all those things. It didn't help us because we lost the game, so that was. But you can go back and look at it and see the similarities. They do similar things this year than they did when we played them last year. They kind of have their style, and they're good at it. Yeah, and then also watching Ole Miss. Yeah, you can see a little bit of how we compared. Now, like I said, teams from week 1 to week 3 are completely different, but you get a chance to see what they're doing, how they got played, how their offense plays their defense, and so on. So you have a common opponent in there. Ultimately, it still comes down, I still think, for us, what are we trying to correct? What are we getting better at? All right, and then secondly, looking at, okay, what are they doing, and how are we going to attack them? And both those 2 factors do help us, as far as our knowledge and what we think we can do.
When you looked at the film, what held you guys back in the run game last week? What didn't start clicking ever?
One guy here and there, one guy maybe getting too much push. Their D-line played well in the game, and they were able to penetrate in certain areas. Not major penetration. You didn't see anybody just getting blown up in the backfield, but it was just enough now where, Jay's trying to get up in the line and make a cut. Footing was a little bit of an issue from that standpoint, so that kind of slowed us down a little bit. But I think overall their D-line, their linebackers, they filled. We didn't quite get the creases that we had gotten before. And to be honest with you, I think that was their mission, stop the run. And I got to believe that, because you go back and look at the game before, and as a defensive coordinator, as the head coach, like, they can beat us throwing it, that's fine. But they're not going to beat us running the ball. And I just think that's what they were geared to do, because they played a little bit differently. They'd shown in some other games, and they played aggressive. And then for us, that's why it opened up the pass game more.
Notice no changes to the depth chart. That obviously can probably be a good thing. Did you guys escape that UConn game fairly healthy? And then is there an update on some of the guys that didn't travel and Reese?
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We came out of that game fairly good. Kind of your bumps and bruises and things like that, but nobody that's not expected to play this week. Reese, kind of day to day, where he's at right now. I mean, he had the weekend off and rehab, and he's doing that right now. I anticipate him practicing. I don't know if he'll play yet. I mean, it's a matter of how well he practices. Brian Douglas, same. We anticipate getting him out here on Tuesday and getting him out there and getting him back into practice. He won't be full go on Tuesday, maybe a little bit more on Wednesday, and then hoping by Thursday he's full speed. And there's little to no contact on Thursday practice. So if that's the case and everything goes the way we hope, we'll get him back on Thursday full speed, and then Friday a little bit more. So both those guys, their situations, Reese and Bryan, will be how they progress throughout the week. Clee, still, he'll get some things. I don't think he'll get anything in practice this week. He'll get that chance to get out there, maybe run around, do some rehab on the field and all that. We don't anticipate Clee playing in this game. I hope this week, though, it's better, and that the next week, we're looking at getting him, in the mix at practice. What that means, I don't know. But that's where we're at right now with those guys.
They got two running backs, both almost got 1,000 yards last year. Are they different in styles, and do they run them separately? Do they run them together? What's their MO with the two running backs?
A little bit different. One's a little bit bigger. One's kind of a power. The other guy is more of, and they both run the same. They don't necessarily run different schemes with either one of them. They're just different runners. We faced a couple of them last year, and those guys 4 yards, and then the guy can get back in there and scat back a little bit, make you miss, get out in space, maybe a little more zone read with him. But they're running inside zone. They're running some zone read, and then they'll do some things with him out of the backfield in the pass game. And both guys are very effective.
Going back to our offense a little bit, you talked about Broadway. You got to see him in person, obviously, last year. What is it about him that made him the preseason conference player of the year? And I guess he's had a bit of a slow start, and I guess it probably makes him a little bit dangerous knowing that.
Yeah, he's a good player. When we played him last year, I think he understands what he's doing offensively. They check. They do quite a bit of checks, and they want to get the right looks. Two, he's a big guy. He's physical, he's big, and so he's able to move around when things break down, and he extends plays and makes things happen. He ran the ball against us decently, but he threw the ball well against us last year at Ark State, more effectively down the field. So he's a guy you got to play the whole play with him. And, we faced a couple of those quarterbacks a little bit like Colorado State. We said the same thing. You got to play the whole play, and it's no different with him. He'll see something down the field and find it. And then, he's also good at, if the timing route's on and the guy's open, he throws on time. So you can just see he's a mature player. He's been doing it for a while. He's got a lot of experience. There's a reason why he was picked, for his conference to be the player of the year and all that. And, I don't know what the situation in the other games are. They've played some good teams, and that's kind of the bottom line.
Looking back at your defensive performance, would you call that a dominant defensive performance? If so, why? If not, why not? And do you guys have certain numbers, goals, turnovers-wise, sacks-wise? Because 8 sacks, 3 turnovers sounds pretty good.
Yeah. The defensive performance was good. D-line, 8 sacks, yes, that's more than our goal is, going into a game. And that's something those guys did a great job. Now, sacks also come from coverage in the back end, too. A guy has to hang on to the ball. If he's throwing on time, you're probably not getting sacks. But, yeah, you score twice on defense. You get 3 turnovers. That's the goal. And you get 8 sacks in the game. That's pretty good. Now, again, you go back and, dominate. You don't let them score. That's really an ultimate thing. Hey, you dominated, nobody scored, and you shut them out. And ultimately it comes down to that. Score is going to be the bottom line for us. How many did we score and how many did they score? But those guys on defense, I thought, Armand Nance coming out, getting through the line, creating the fumble, Tanner Vallejo picking it up, scoring. Dante's play was pretty dominating. He's able to rip the ball out of his hands. And then, Moxie, you see a guy that's just getting better. That's it, period. So his trend, if it continues, he's going to be just fine. And to get that interception in the game there, Blake Reno had a big game. So many guys out there did some good things, and yet there's still a number of things that you look at and position-wise, and whether they hit us with it or not, that we have to work on and get better. And, we're proud of the way the defense played, and we're going to ask them to do that and then some again. We're going to need to because teams are getting better as we go.
You mentioned that footwork footing was an issue back there. Can you elaborate on that? And is it the cleats? Is there?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a rule in what you can wear. You can't go out there and just make your own cleats up and put however long cleats you want in there. We wore the same pairs we wore on our grass. But there is something about playing on grass that's different than turf. And the more you play on it, the better you are. You know, we've practiced on it and all that. You know, their guys spun out too. So if you look at it, I tried to look at our guys. We slipped, their guys slipped. I think the surface was just a little bit slick, you know, for what it was. You can go get a little bit different 7-stud cleat in there that's really not any longer. It's just a different setup in the cleat there. And, you know, I don't know, maybe that's been a better thing. I have no idea. But we've practiced well with the ones we've been wearing, and, you know, it is what it is at that point. So I don't think we play on grass for a while again. But we'll remember that, I promise you.
Looking at the defensive line's performance, you know, if you go all the way back to the beginning of fall camp, that was an area where, you know, there were some question marks and looking for answers, and it seems like they've answered those questions early. And then also, how important was that depth, considering the fact that you guys were on the field, you know, for 12 more minutes than you probably was on defense?
Yeah, the depth's big, you know, where you can rotate and platoon those guys and get them in and out. You know, I think Coach Caldwell's done a good job with the lineup, you know, of who's in, even kind of mixing as we go to keep fresh guys out. That's really what the key is, you know, is keeping those guys fresh. But, you know, not having JT, not having Horn, not having some of the guys that are red shirt right now for us too. I mean, it's extremely important that those guys, one, play well, and two, we can keep them healthy and fresh. And they've stepped up. They've done a good job. I don't think we've answered the final question about, you know, where we are. I mean, they're playing better. They've gotten better each and every week. This will be a different test for them. You know, they're going to face an O-line that's an experienced O-line. They got guys that have been playing for 4 years on the O-line, so it's going to be a different animal. We'll see where we're at after this game.
What is the range? What range would you be comfortable using Goodale at? He seems to have a lot of foot. And
You know, whatever he tells me, he kind of tells me before the game, hey, I'm good from here. It's like, that's fine. When we get there, we'll be all right. 52, I think, you know, he's probably consistent. You know, if you're talking furthest out, about 52 yards, he can go bang a 55-yarder.
Does he actually tell you before the game?
You know,
wind conditions and stuff out far?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't tell me, but he tells Coach Riddle, and so on the game plan. And sometimes it's, you know, hey, we're good from the 30-yard line going this direction and the 35 going this direction. And sometimes it changes, you know. And so in between quarters and all that, it'd be like, hey, so let's just switch it now. Winds change. We'll be 34 here, 33 here. So, you know, Coach Sanford knows, hey, as we get down there, we get to that 35-yard line, okay, we got points. All right, now, so that means in the third down, what do we want to do? We want to run it and be a little bit safe and get points. We want to try to go for it, you know, those different situations. So it's huge for us. The way Dan's kicking and kicking off, I mean, you feel like he could go out there and hit a 55-yarder, 60-yarder. I mean, he's got a lot of leg right now, and he's feeling good about what he's doing and how he's doing it.
It seemed like the offensive struggle, especially in the first half, couldn't pick up third downs. You're 4 for 13 in the game, and I think you're 38% for the season. What are you seeing on third down? Are you in too long of third downs, or what has been the struggles there, and do you think that will help the offense kind of get rolling if you can pick those up?
Yeah, I think we're 41% total, but 3rd and 10 plus. So you get in 3rd and 10 plus, I mean, you're talking about, you know, a 25% rate is what you want to get. So you're talking 1 out of 4. And that's where we've struggled. We've actually been, you know, 6 to 9 range. We've been really good. 2 to 5 need to be better. You know, I mean, there's certain percentages you want to reach, and we need to be better on 2 to 5. We've been outstanding on 6 to 9, and 10 plus. You know, that's one area that we have got to improve on. And so we've looked at it. We studied each week. We spend a lot of time self-scouting, you know, what it is. Is it scheme? Is it plays? Is it situation? What is it? As we go back, and it's a combination of kind of everything. Bottom line is, you know, 2nd and 7 plus, we've been good. We don't want to be in 3rd and 10. And if we can stay in that 9 and under range, you know, we're usually pretty good. 10, you know, that's where our odds go against us. So we're always fighting to stay ahead of the chains, and for us, head of the chains is staying ahead of 3rd and 10. That's what we're trying to do.
You guys are top 10 in the country in sacks and interceptions and takeaways and tackles for loss, but like 80th in total defense. How do you kind of reconcile sort of these great aggressive plays, but not maybe the consistency that you like?
You can spin it. You know, I think that's all great for recruiting. You can spin stats however you want to and show it. You know, wins and losses. That's really what it comes down to. I think both coordinators, you have goals on offense you want to reach. I mean, we'd love to be top 10 in every category. I mean, that's an ultimate goal. We'd like our quarterback to be a top 10 player. We'd like our defense, offense, scoring, all those things. We've always wanted to be top 10. Reality of it is we're not, and reasons are these, and these, but there are areas that we're improving, and like you mentioned there, I mean, we've got some good statistics in certain areas. Now it all has to come together. And, bottom line is sometimes some games skew that completely, and you can never, you go out there and you score 75 points in the first game, and all of a sudden you're leading the country in scoring. All right, depends on who you play, so we look at wins and losses, and we just try to look at each and every week. Are we getting better in those areas that we need to improve? And bottom line is, yeah, the secondary, 2 takeaways in the secondary, that's pretty good.
Matt Bosin, obviously, he switched positions during fall camp. What have you seen out of him, and a guy that's, he seems to be obviously progressing at that defensive end position? Yeah,
like you said, progressing. He's getting better. Every time I yell at him to make a play, he makes one on the field. So I need to do that more often. He's come up big in critical situations. And I'm not saying like, every third down is, not critical, but sometimes where the momentum's changing and you need this play, he's come up with it twice. Colorado State game, the UConn game, on third downs, he's had some big sacks in there. I think he's a product of the rest of the D-line and everybody just playing better. And I think in that group, if you watch the guys practice, they don't go out there and mess around. They practice hard. There's a mission, amongst that group to really improve and get better, each practice and ultimately in the game. So I think he's a product of that, of everybody just improving. And if you want to be a part of it, you better get better. And he's gotten better like everybody else.
Where do you think the team improved the most in the UConn game? And then do you have something you've identified for this week?
Well, I think D-line, was one. If you're going to talk about positionally and all that, D-line was good. Offensively, 0 turnovers. As we have our Friday meetings, every group, there's a key player that stands up at every group. And, the quarterbacks finish it off, and Grant told the team, simple as this, 0 turnovers. That's exactly what they had. So if we do that, if we can win the turnover battle, we have a great shot of winning the game. Ultimately, I think just as a team, we finished the game. We hear all the stuff. I mean, we hear it from us. We hear it from everybody. Hey, can you finish the game? Can you get out there and win the fourth quarter and all that? Well, that's a challenge. We won the fourth quarter. So as far as what we emphasize, win the turnover battle, win the fourth quarter, we did exactly that. So as far as I'm concerned, we made the improvements we need to make from that game. Now, we'll have several more challenges going into this one.
Staying on offense, you said that you got to be balanced, get that running game going. But after the UConn game, you said that you think they're really keyed on the running game, 8, 9 guys in the box at some point. Do you take something away from that? What if Louisiana Lafayette does that? Or is that something that you say, hey, they did a good job game planning and, we try to do something else?
Well, I would say this. We threw the ball well. If you want to do that, then Matt's going to have 2 touchdowns and throw one. Simple as that. All right, we have answers. That's what you choose to do. We prefer to be balanced, but if somebody wants to stop us and make us one-dimensional, we have enough opportunities on the outside and throwing the football to win a game. So I think when you play against us as far as trying to stop one thing, pick your poison a little bit, and that's the main thing. So we'll throw it if we have to. We'd like to run it. We're going to try to keep running it, but we're not going to bang our heads against the wall and not go out there and be successful on offense. So we got to throw it. Our quarterback has more confidence. Wide receivers have more confidence. I feel like there's a little bit of a rhythm from that standpoint happening, and we're good to do whatever we have to do, but we prefer to keep it 50-50 if possible.
Terrell Johnson got into the mix. What have you seen from him?
Better. He got into the mix because he's been better. This week he got into the return game. With Bryan being out, got into the return game, did a good job. He's practiced. He's been more consistent in practice. So, he's just getting better. I think sometimes it takes a little bit of time to kind of get it to click. but he's earned his opportunities by going out and practice, and we actually had a couple throws in there to him in the game we couldn't get to that were specifically for him. But like I've said, I mean, if guys work and put the time in and do it right in practice, we're going to find something for them. And so Coach Sanford had a few things dialed up. Coach Riddle put him in the kick game, and I hope that continues. It just helps us and makes us better.
Getting back, to your guys' ground game, you have your volume guys like Shane, like Jay, and even Matt. Do you feel like, I don't know, I feel like it just took a little bit while to get it going against UConn without, one of those volume guys in action. It shows that obviously that is pretty important to what you guys do. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you hope all those guys can have the production that we had against Colorado State. It's not going to happen every game. So, other guys had chances. We threw the ball out there. We got to make plays, bottom line. So the ball is being spread more. It needs to happen. We can spread the ball, but they actually need to make the plays. So, but Matt, I mean, that's the one thing. We'll just go back to it again. If Jay's not having the game that we all hope that he's going to have, or the run game's not going the way we want it to go, then Matt's ready to step up. Shane's ready to step up, and those guys. So we hope that other guys are, continue to progress. Terrell's a great example of it, and Dallas getting himself in the mix a little bit more. So we'll see.
Two totally unrelated things here. One, you guys run a bunch of trick plays here to start the season. I'm wondering if that's you or Sanford, or where you guys have kind of put that emphasis there. And then the totally opposite thing, Kevin Person is off the roster. I'm wondering, tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, the trick plays, I think just having fun. I think there's a lot of film from previous years here that we can go back and look at, so it's kind of fun to pull some stuff out a little bit. But yeah, I think it still comes down to what can we execute. You kind of look at something, you watch tape, and the wheels start turning. You're like, maybe we could get this done. So Coach Sanford, the offensive staff's done a good job of just kind of putting some stuff up on the wall and seeing if it sticks, and then kind of creating it as we go. Players like it. Matt was excited about that. Grant, I'm not sure how much after you watch the ball in the air that long, but he caught a touchdown, so that was cool. Kevin Person is no longer with us. Something to do with academics from that standpoint. So that's opened up an opportunity for us, and that's where we're at.
Kamala Korea, he's a guy that you pointed out a number of times in fall camp. Again, what does he bring to this defense? And he seems like a guy that he's kind of hard to take off the field at this point too.
Yeah, just a lot of energy. I mean, from Tuesday to Saturday, he's kind of the same guy. He practices hard, he plays hard, and it's really important to him. That's the one thing he's shown me up to this point. Football is really important. He really likes it. He loves getting out there and playing, and he's going to do whatever he can to try to make a play. And he's been a guy that's made a bunch of plays for us, these last 3 games. So from spring, I think he was good in spring. I think he got after it in the summertime. And fall camp, it was, he's a different animal coming out there. And so I like what he's doing. I like his mentality. And I think, he's one of those guys in that room and out in that field that are getting guys around him playing to a level, and he's playing to a level. He and Bo and some of those guys that have played a little bit, Gabe, they keep pushing each other to elevate their game, and he's obviously done that.
Two more guys. Total shot in the dark here, because I'm sure he's focused on football at this point, but with the Cubs losing their affiliation in Boise, have you talked to Joe Martirano at all about his future playing baseball?
Mm-mm.
Beautiful.
I haven't. I didn't even know that. I struck him out once in a wiffle ball game. So you put that out to the Cubs.
McNair was a guy that you guys said that you thought you'd use a little earlier this year, and you guys obviously hasn't really played much, if any, of a role so far. He's still in the mix to play?
Yes, he is. And a matter of fact, I hope, we all hope he does. And he does no more than him, trust me. There's some guys in front of him that are playing good, obviously, and he's coming along. You know, I know Coach Caldwell really likes. We think he's got a lot of potential. He's very athletic, moves well, he's strong, and it's just kind of getting it all down. You know, there's a lot of coordination that goes into playing D-line. You know, with the move, different things that we do, and guys got to be on the same page. And he's got some guys in front of him that are just playing well and have consistently played well and gotten better each week. And it's hard to kind of crack into that mix a little bit, but he'll be in there at some point. And he's doing everything else right, you know, to ensure himself to have an opportunity at some point. Good.